Consider this as a follow-up to my last video that I just did, in which I was referencing a person that claimed that I was a misogynist. Just because I said every time to a silly post that she made. But the same old tired, boring, nonsensical non-argument, though it's treated like an argument and though it's used like an argument, is people trying to utilize their identity as a shield. Or use other people's identity as a shield to any sort of criticism, any sort of argument against the claim that they have, the position that they have, or something of that nature. In the last video, we talked about the person making this claim about libertarians and saying that they're white people that do this, this, and that. I'm a black libertarian. So verifiably that is false. If she's going to try to make it seem as if this is this exclusive group for white people, libertarianism, that is. And right in response to that, directly in response to that, she claims that I'm a misogynist. Okay, she's a female, using a female card. Though she never actually addresses the nonsensical non-argument that she had. Never even went there. But this is a repeated thing that you guys probably experience, definitely if you have conversations with people online. You criticize something, they look at the identity of that person, say, you're doing this. Definitely if you're white, and as an example, say if you're a white male, you criticize a black person, racist against blacks, what you're doing is racist or some underlying racism or something of that nature there. And it's not just exclusive to that. Gender, sexuality is a multitude of other different things. When people use their identity and largely in things that they could not control, color they are, in that regards, like the race and like the gender they were born as. And they use that as just like, oh shit, see, you can't criticize me. See? If you do, you're sexist. I'm like, come on, dude. It's not an argument. It is not, but it's a thing, and it's mainly because they've been allowed to get away with doing that. And what I mean by that is that now, because of the oppression Olympics and this stage that we're at now, in which people just really go out of their way to go be offended by things, they've been essentially rewarded with social clout by way of making that appeal. So what it has allowed them to do is utilize this non-argument, and they can make the most preposterous, false, crazy claims. And they get to get away with it. They're allowed to do it, no matter how much it can be false, no matter how much you can prove that what they are saying is incorrect. Or also, you criticizing them and showing them that, hey, this, and this. They get to shift the conversation to some play on identity because they've been allowed to do it, and again, and given the social clout in which you guys reward and praise this nonsense. And I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking here. I'm just giving you the real talk. It's not an argument. It's a boring, nonsensical non-argument that you use as one. But as an example, saying white people, libertarianism is this for white people, or white people are this, that's not an argument against libertarianism. Even if you did assume that, let's say, a lot of white people adopted libertarianism, that's not an argument against the philosophy itself. Just because of the makeup, the identical or the identity makeup of the people that adopt, let's say, this philosophy or what have you, does not mean that the philosophy is illegitimate. Vice versa, just because on the opposite side, let's say, a lot of people that are of this identity adopt this, does not make it right or wrong. It's just that. Now, I got to leave some sort of room for nuance, if you will. Y'all love that word, don't you? Because there may be a conversation or an argument that is specifically centered around that. But general cases in which it's not, it has nothing to do with it. It's a thing. And the racial or sex makeup of it is irrelevant to it because that's not what this is about. People gravitate towards different things for different reasons. They're indoctrinated in it. They learned about it. So to sit up here and look at something and be like, this is the makeup of it, and therefore something is wrong with it, because I've done these videos talking about representation and diversity and stuff, and it kind of goes back to that, on which I've said that there may be a certain human affair that has a majority makeup of black people. There's nothing wrong with that because of that. Or majority makeup of black men, or majority makeup of Asian women. Whatever it have you, because people a lot of these things come up, it's based on culture, and to sit up here and look at it and say, well, these are the demographics of it, and this percentage is bigger than this percentage, or this percentage is smaller than this percentage, therefore racism, therefore sexism. Like, dude, that is the laziest thing. Or therefore that's not a good position because majority of white people like, and this is so, I want to say high key racist. When you point to something like, let's say the libertarian thing, and it's funny, I've said things, I've done videos, and you get people that be like, well, you got, followers that are white, or you have, you're repeating a talking point. They love to use that term, talking point of white people that say this, this, and this. And what they don't understand is that in doing that and having that approach, you give these folks, in that case, let's say white male folks, so much power that they don't have. And what I mean by that is that you voluntarily give them that because you give them the right to first use. Basically, you make the adjustment based upon what they do. So if the white folks are doing this, you do the opposite of something of that nature. I'm like, they don't get that. I didn't give them that clout. I don't give a rat's whatever if they have that position. I don't care. That's not why I adopted. And if it's their makeup, if it's a lack of them, if it's a majority of them, it doesn't matter. Because I come to my positions by way of coming to my positions. I think that you should too. Verify, research, argue, what have you. But I don't give them like the right to first use as in like, well, they do this, therefore I can't do it. I don't care. If I come to my position, make an argument against that position if you disagree with it. But saying, well, white people also say this, so what? It's not an argument. Or there's no black people that do this. I don't care. I don't care because 90% of black people every major election cycle vote for a Democratic Party or something. I don't care. That doesn't make them right. It doesn't. Or because the majority of white people go vote this way. I don't care. That do vote, go vote. I don't care. That's not an argument. Playing to the identity of a person or group of people in matters that are, in the subject matter that has nothing to do with the race per se or the sex, gender, it doesn't matter. It's not an argument. But you use it as a shield so you don't have to make one. You don't have to actually provide it. Person calls me sexist or says I'm a misogynist. Well, instead of having to refute my point or anything like that, they just pull his card, you're misogynist. All that. Whatever. I criticize this goofy stuff that happens in this comic book. Well, you hate women. Again, verifiably false in a multitude of different ways. But because they think that is an argument, and this is why I think it should be shamed out of existence, because they try to derail the conversation and yell in this echo chambers among other people that agree with them that also use their identity or other people's identity as arguments, non-arguments. So they don't have to make one. You don't have to be well-versed on what it is that you're perpetuating if all you have to do is say white men. All you have to do is say, well, black folks or sexist or sexism or something like racism. You don't have to make an argument. And these have unfortunately leaked into matters that don't have anything to do with race. And again, this is why I say you got to leave a little bit of room for opening because some subject matters are specifically about that. But not every single position that a person has is based upon that. They don't come to their position based upon that. I'm not saying that some don't. What I'm saying is if you use it as an argument, it's not an argument. Playing to your sexuality or playing to your race just for the sole reason of opposing something that someone said, even if it had nothing to do with it, or dare someone criticize you, there it is. You don't get to just pull his card out and like, well, bam. See, you can't criticize me. Look at you. You're sexist. You bigot. Like, dude, it's lousy, it's boring. And it should be shamed out of position, like out of existence. And that's the mistake that a lot of folks make, is that they sit up there and get on the defense with these types to do that. Y'all see, I don't do it. I slip up every now and then, but for the most part, I don't do that. I'm not going to sit up here. If you say, okay, basically it's a trap, right? You are sexist or you are misogynist. Okay. Instead of me proving to you that I'm not one, I'm going to get you to prove that I am one. Or I'll just stick to the subject matter if it has nothing to do with that. But you don't get to just pull out the card, hand it, and walk away. Like you done, and then do it. That's what they like. They love to do a victory lap after that. They'll do a victory lap like, look at me, I took it to them. See, look at all the likes and the retweets that I got. You didn't say nothing. You didn't say anything. And to the folks that want to get back to trying to having these conversations about, definitely even your fandoms and things of that nature, or politics or stuff, and without having to always have to be on the defense, stop being on the defense. Some mistake. So many people, look at us, we're not racist. You get these political, I criticize the Libertarian Party about this, members of that, because they are so hell-bent on trying to prove that they are not, instead of making them, the people that accuse them of it, prove that they are. And they can't, because that was the point of the card, right? They don't have to prove it. And because you get on the defense, they get to move the post 99 times. But so I'm like, dude, prove. Oh, you ain't got the proof? Shut the hell up. Get out of my face. I'm not even addressing that. You can't prove it. It's nonsense. Or you prove it with this. Oh, that's not sufficient evidence. That's not sufficient evidence. You ain't said nothing. Get out of my face. Nah. And if they want to do the victory lap, let them do the victory lap. But don't sit up there and get on the defense, man. You're walking right into their trap when you sit up and, we're a racist. Oh, no, I'm not a racist. Look at this friend. No. Make that idiot prove the position that not a position, the non-argument that they put out there. Let them prove it. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 9, they can't. They can't. Or whatever evidence that they provide is not going to reach the conclusion in which they thought that it did. But again, I think it's high key racism on their point, on their behalf, when they limit everything. They rob people of the agency because of the whole identity thing. And that's what I'm going to end with, guys. Look, people are individuals. And some people are involved in subcultures and cultures, and they are voluntarily arrived. And some of those demographics, I'm not one of those guys that just denies demographics. They're a thing. And you can find certain traits and attributes among those subcultures that are unique to that subculture or part of that subculture. However, what so many individuals want you to do is be limited to just that. I'm a black man. I don't deny that I'm a black man. But I'm not just a black man. I just was born like this. Had no control of it. Just was born. Dark skin. Certain God-given very athletic ability. But I'm not just that. And just because somebody else makes an argument that may have similar skin tone, or there's some other people with certain skin tones that go do other things, does not mean I'm limited to doing that. But that's what these folks want. That's the position that these guys basically have, and that they think that they can limit you and rob you of your agency. You're supposed to think this way because you are this way. That's crazy. But they don't have to prove that, and they don't have to reach that logical conclusion. That doesn't have to be out there because y'all fools are so busy walking right into their trap and trying to prove that you are not what they say you are. They don't care. They don't care. They simply want to be dishonest, and that because we've reached the oppression Olympics peak, where people get to hide behind people's identity. A lot of things they could not control, they had no control over. Which is why you got people trying to fit in so many different groups right now. They're going out of their way to be offended. They're going out of their way to be oppressed or claim that they are. Because they get to shield themselves for any sort of criticism, and mainly because they get to use it against you in the event that you criticize them. So they make it about their identity because that's been a part of the conversation this entire time. They get to make, even though you may have not made it about that, you say something against them because they are so rooted in their identity or somebody else's identity for that matter. They say that you are against them because of that identity, no matter how good of an argument you make. And I ended the same way that I ended the last video. You cannot reason a person out of a position that didn't get there by way of reason. So your best bet, make them have to stumble over there. Why you think I had these debates with these weirdos? It's not simply I would love to convince them, but you see in my debate tactic, if you will, a lot of these guys that we have these conversations with, they come in making preconceived notions and claims that they have not proved. I make them prove it. And it comes out real silly. They're stumbling over themselves. And it sounds just crazy. It's because I'm not sitting here. I'm gonna make them define their terms. I'm not gonna sit here and they call me a fascist. The guy that I argue, the Bernie Sanders supporter, he's fascist. You're a fascist. All right, prove it. And he sounds, the further down the rabbit hole he goes, the more dumb he sounds. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's that I'm not getting on the defense to disprove that I'm a fascist to him. Definitely what I know I'm not one. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting no. Okay, you made the positive claim. Define your terms and prove it. And you're gonna, again, this is why I say it's almost like you have to shame that out of position. Existence. Why do I keep saying that? You gotta shame that position out of existence, if you want to call it that. And to me, the most effective way to do it is to make them prove it. And they'll make the mistakes themselves. But you guys are on the defense way too much. And it's not just y'all. Put myself in there as well. Because sometimes I still fall in the trap and I need to take my own advice. But I feel like I've been doing a solid job. But you got to take your own advice sometimes. I'm not perfect. Getting on the defense to somebody making a blatantly false, nonsensical claim because they get to hide behind their identity. Just say, prove it. They can't prove it. I'm telling you, they can't. Most of the time they can't because they didn't get there by way of connecting the dots. So you let them make fools of themselves. But don't get on the defense trying to prove to them that you are not, or you're not a bigot, because that's exactly what they want you to do. Exactly.